Hey guys, well, welcome back to my channel. Today we have a praise report. Praise report. I feel like I need a song for that, if this is going to be a regular thing. But that's what I have so far. It's just punching in the air and saying praise report. Okay, we're done now. I share these praise reports not to be boastful, not to, just not to brag or anything. I honestly think that it's really encouraging to hear what God's doing in other people's lives and ways that He's answered prayers. So that's what I'm doing here, is to hopefully, I have a hair tie, is to hopefully encourage you guys and just show you how faithful God is. So this praise report is brought to us by this apartment that I am in right now, because I have gotten a new job after college, and it was in Seattle, and I was living across the lake. Commute was really not great, and I've just always wanted to live in Seattle. I've always lived in the area, but never like in the city. So it's my dream. My dream big moment was I'm going to move to Seattle and be closer to work. This would require a cheap apartment and a roommate, and I didn't have any of those prospects at all. So we are in January right now. Let's go back to August. I met this girl at church. She seemed great, and she had just moved here from Ohio, and I was like, okay, maybe she would want a roommate because she's obviously not like placed anywhere yet. She's still looking for where she wants to be, but it was kind of up in the air because she wasn't sure where she was going to get a job, and she was just living with our pastor at the time. So I was just kind of like, okay, well, I'll think about that because she could be a potential. Then a couple months go by and I see her again, and we just kind of reconnected and got coffee, and we were just kind of like, this could probably work. So I was like, okay, when I like see in my sights what I want, and I'm like, go, 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 what are the steps? So I was like, okay, what's your budget? Like, is there anywhere particular you want to live in Seattle? What's your plan? Because she did end up getting a job in Seattle. And so she told me all those things, and I went on my little research jaunt, and I was like, Seattle's expensive. And we were just both starting out in our jobs, so we didn't want to spend a ton of money. And so I was just kind of like, I don't think this is gonna happen unless we want to share a bedroom, like get a 1-bedroom apartment, or live in a really like shady part of town. And yeah, so I was just kind of like, I don't know. So I went on Craigslist, which I didn't know was a place where you can find apartments, but if you're looking, that might be a place for you. So I went on there, and right away I saw this apartment listing. It didn't have any pictures, so it was a little odd, but it was the right price, and it was in a part of Seattle that I've always wanted to live, and my family was always like, well, you're gonna have to be rich if you want to live there. But it was so cheap, and I was like, this has to be too good to be true. So I like messaged the lady, but I wasn't really expecting much because I'm like, I don't know if this is like a real thing. There's no pictures, but there's an address, so I don't know. But she got back to me, and she was like, yeah, you guys can come see it. So I got really excited because I was like, this is a real thing. I think this lady is gonna meet with us, so I'm sure it's a real thing. So I actually drove to the address just to like see what the building looked like and see exactly where it was. And right when I got to the neighborhood, I'm not kidding you, I was like, I'm living here. I don't care. I want to live here. This is exactly where I've always wanted to live, where I thought I would have to be rich. Jesus has other plans. And yeah, so I just like walked around the apartment building, and it was this really cute neighborhood, and I literally got out of my car and walked around the whole neighborhood and prayed that we could live there, because I just felt so strongly that like this is the place. Like, why is it this easy? Why is it this price? Why, like, is it in my favorite part of Seattle? I don't know, but I'm here and I want it. So we were the first people to see the apartment, and we went up with our now landlord, And yeah, she was showing us around, and like right away we were just talking, and church got brought up, and it turns out she's a believer and knew what church we went to. And I was just kind of like, okay, when Jesus does all like these ticky things, like favorite part of Seattle that I didn't think I could ever live in, Christian landlord, like, and a very spacious apartment for super cheap. I'm like people ask me and they're like, how did you find that place? I'm like, I literally have no other explanation except for Jesus. Like literally no other explanation. So anyway, we saw it, we loved it, and we were like, this is going to be our new home. I already know. So we had to fill out an application. I had never rented an apartment by myself before. And so I wasn't quite sure like if we would get it because it was pretty prime for the price, obviously. But we did. We sent in our application by, I think it was like 3 days later, we like signed on it. And I don't know, it was just amazing. And then I got to know my roommate more, and now we're like this, like 2 peas in a pod, like spend all this time together, live the same way. We literally go to bed around the same time, which is kind of funny. And I don't know, I just saw like how much God cares. Like he cares about our desires, and he cares about what like is going to be homey for us. Like what kind of God does that? That's so nice. So part of the reason I'm telling you this is that if you think God doesn't care about your desires and doesn't care about the things that you love, he totally does. He cares. Like I've never asked Jesus if I could live in this part of Seattle because I didn't think it was possible, but he remembered, and he knew that conversation I had with my family where they told me that it probably wasn't going to happen. And then he was just kind of like, here you go, you know? It's just amazing. Yeah, like this is one of the biggest blessings I feel like God's ever given me, just purely based on the fact that I didn't have to really try, and that he was just so loving. Like it wasn't even, I didn't need to move. Like I was living in a house that I enjoyed living in. Like the drive was bad, but other than that, like I didn't need to move. I wasn't like, my lease wasn't ending. I didn't have a lease, so I didn't need to move. But God knew that I always wanted to, like I've always wanted to live in Seattle, and he knew where, and he knew the perfect person to put me with, and he knew this landlord that would treat us kindly. And I don't know, it's just been really cool to experience all this and just like feel God's love so much. So if you're in a season where you're trying to go after your dreams and you're not sure like if God hears you or even cares or sees you, like he totally does. And it might not be in your timing, but God does care about the desires of our heart, and he does want to give us the desires of our heart. So I hope this encourages you. It sure encouraged me to talk about it. So yeah, if you like this video, please subscribe. I'm making Christian videos and some other fun ones thrown in there. So yeah, let me know if you have anything you would like to see, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. See you later. Bye.